The rain hammers the cracked asphalt like judgment, each drop echoing off the dumpster behind Hartfield and Associates law office. I clutch the soggy legal papers to my chest, the ink bleeding like my grandmother's final words, words I'll never hear again. The parking lot smells of wet garbage and exhaust fumes, a perfume that seems fitting for this moment when my entire world has just been declared worthless. My phone buzzes against my rain-soaked blazer. A text from Dad. Your belongings are on the porch. Locks changed. Don't come inside. I dial Mom's number with trembling fingers, but it goes straight to voicemail. The automated voice might as well be reading my obituary. When the beep comes, my voice cracks like old china hitting concrete. Mom, please. Marcus told the hospice staff, I'm damaged goods that expired years ago. And now you're throwing me out with Tuesday's trash? On the day we buried the only person who ever saw me as human? The papers in my hands are dissolving in the rain, just like the dream of inheriting Grandma Evelyn's Victorian house in West Hartford. $2.8 million and a lifetime of love, all transferred to my golden boy brother Marcus, the medical student who hasn't visited her without asking for money in 5 years. I taste copper in my mouth and smell the rotting leaves mixing with car exhaust. Somewhere in the distance, a car door slams like a coffin lid. The seizure aura starts building behind my eyes, but I won't give them the satisfaction. Not today. Not when I'm finally starting to understand that this isn't about inheritance at all. This is about erasing me completely. The drive to my parents' house in Bloomfield feels like attending my own funeral. Through the windshield wipers, beating their funeral march, I can see Mrs. Peterson next door pretending to check her mailbox while obviously watching the drama unfold. Marcus's BMW sits in the garage like a trophy, gleaming under the fluorescent lights while my 15-year-old Subaru sputters in the driveway. My belongings are scattered across the covered porch like evidence at a crime scene, clothes dampening in the humid air, my CPA certificate in a puddle, family photos face down in the wet. The sight triggers a memory so vivid I can smell the Christmas incense again. December 1999, St. Mary's Catholic Church. Christmas Eve Mass. I'm 11, and the grand mal seizure hits during Silent Night. I convulse on the marble floor while the congregation watches in horror. Mom's voice cuts through the hymn like a blade. This is why we can't take her anywhere nice. Marcus, 7 years old, continues singing carols, stepping carefully around my shaking body as if I'm a puddle to avoid. The front door opens, and Mom appears behind the screen like a judge behind bars. Linda Chen, head nurse at Hartford Hospital, wearing the same expression she reserves for terminal diagnoses. Marcus worked his ass off for medical school debt that's crushing him. You think a person who seizes behind the wheel deserves millions in assets? I'm a licensed CPA with my own clients. I start, but Dad's voice cuts me off from somewhere behind her. We're past tense. Sarah, Evelyn finally saw reality. Another memory surfaces unbidden. 2018, Olive Garden on Asylum Avenue. My promotion celebration to senior accountant. The waiter brings out a small cake, but Mom redirects every congratulation toward Marcus's research grant. 20 minutes of my achievements erased by endless praise for his latest academic honor. The waiter eventually asks if I'm okay after being ignored for most of my own party. Mrs. Peterson approaches our property line, concern creasing her 70-something face. Sarah, dear, is everything all right? Mom slams the door before I can answer, leaving me standing in the rain like a package marked, Return to Sender. The pattern crystallizes with brutal clarity. Every family milestone had been a Marcus worship session. Every gathering a systematic diminishment of my worth. My medical condition wasn't just inconvenient, it was weaponized. The seizure medication in my purse rattles like dice as I gather my soaked belongings. Some gambles, I'm learning, are rigged from the start. The fluorescent lights at Dunkin' Donuts buzz like angry wasps as I spread the legal documents across a corner table sticky with old coffee rings. The evening rush hour crowd flows around me. Tired workers grabbing caffeine fixes, students hunched over laptops, the ambient sound of everyday life continuing while mine implodes. Janet, the barista with paralegal student written in the careful way she handles papers, notices me crying over official documents and approaches with a phone charger and genuine concern. You look like you could use some legal insight, she says, examining the will with trained eyes. This is sketchy as hell. Breadcrumb number 1. Her finger traces the notary signatures. October 15th. Notarization has shaky handwriting, but the witness signatures from October 12th are rock steady. Connecticut requires same-day witnessing unless extraordinary circumstances are documented. This 3-day gap is a red flag. I tell her about Marcus suddenly becoming helpful with Grandma's affairs after years of neglect. Janet's expression hardens like concrete setting. Breadcrumb number 2. My professor drilled this into us. When beneficiaries become caregivers right before inheritance, courts assume manipulation until proven otherwise. Has Golden Boy been playing nurse lately? 5 years of medical school. Then suddenly he's visiting weekly. Grandma went from Sarah gets the house to Sarah can't handle responsibility in 6 weeks. Golden boys don't suddenly become caregivers unless there's gold involved, Janet says, her voice carrying to nearby tables where other customers are beginning to listen. The coffee tastes bitter, but not as bitter as the realization that Grandma's confusion might not have been natural. Janet slides a business card across the table. Her paralegal program professor, someone who specializes in elder law. Confusion doesn't just happen, honey. Sometimes it gets prescribed. The words hit like ice water. I remember Marcus showing up with a pharmacy bag last month. Something about helping Grandma sleep better. The memory tastes like copper pennies and smells like the antiseptic corridor of Hartford Hospital where he does his rotations. Outside, the October wind rattles the windows like skeleton fingers, and I'm starting to understand that this story isn't about money. It's about power, medical authority, and the perfect crime hiding behind a white coat. CVS Pharmacy at West Hartford Center buzzes with morning rush hour energy. The beeping scanners, shuffling feet, and impatient sighs create a symphony of suburban urgency. I'm standing in line with my epilepsy prescription, dealing with insurance complications that are causing the line to back up behind me. That's when Marcus appears, medical scrubs crisp and white coat draped over his arm like armor. He uses his credentials to expedite the process. But I can see the gleam in his eyes. This is performance art. Donna, the pharmacy tech with kind eyes and tired hands, processes my prescription while making conversation. Your brother picked up medication for an elderly patient last month, Evelyn Chen. Lorazepam for sleep issues. Said the family requested it through you. Breadcrumb number 3. The words hit like a physical blow. I never requested anything. Lorazepam, I know that name from my neurological consultations, it's not for sleep. It's for anxiety, and it causes confusion in elderly patients. Marcus steps closer, his voice projected for maximum audience impact. Ladies and gentlemen, witness my sister who thinks she deserves our grandmother's millions despite being unable to manage her own medication schedule. Would you trust someone like that with financial responsibility? Phones come out. The modern-day pillory is digital, and Marcus knows exactly how to work the crowd. Customers start filming as my seizure aura builds from the stress, the familiar copper taste, the visual distortions at the edges of my vision. This public spectacle, Marcus continues, is exactly why our family had to make difficult protective decisions. The pharmacy becomes a theater, and I'm the unwilling star of my own destruction. But something crystallizes in that moment of humiliation. Through the seizure fog, I hear Donna whisper urgently, Lorazepam makes elderly patients extremely confused, extremely fast. Some people confuse mental illness with entitlement their entire lives, Marcus announces to his phone-wielding audience. Fighting the building seizure, I manage to respond, at least I don't confuse white coats with moral authority. The video will be online within minutes. Pharmacy drama, medical student versus disabled sister. But for the first time since this nightmare began, I have a breadcrumb that leads somewhere dark. Lorazepam, prescribed by Marcus, for a grandmother who'd never had anxiety until he started visiting. The seizure hits as I'm walking to my car, but even through the confusion, one thought remains crystal clear. Marcus didn't just steal my inheritance, he drugged our grandmother to get it. The Motel 6 on Wethersfield Avenue smells like industrial disinfectant and broken dreams. The walls are thin enough that I can hear every conversation, every argument, every sob story that leads people to places like this. My room overlooks the parking lot where taxis drop off people clutching garbage bags full of their lives. The systematic destruction of my existence has been swift and surgical. Bank of America's main branch became a public spectacle when the manager loudly explained my account freeze pending a mental competency evaluation, while other customers pretended not to stare. My landlord met me in the apartment complex parking lot to announce lease termination due to family concerns about tenant stability. Ensuring neighbors witnessed my eviction. My accounting firm called a meeting in the glass conference room where all staff could watch me get fired. We're restructuring your position due to client concerns about reliability. The corporate speak couldn't disguise the truth. Marcus had poisoned my professional reputation as efficiently as he drugged grandma. Social media has become his weapon of choice. Instagram stories from a healing family vacation, funded by inheritance money. Beach photos captioned, "Grateful for family who understand responsibility over entitlement." The comments section fills with relatives offering support, creating a digital Greek chorus of my unworthiness. Your brother wears credibility. You wear desperation. Juries don't need medical degrees to see the difference. Attorney David Morrison explains in his office, "The consultation fee alone, $500, empties my checking account. Connecticut's undue influence standard requires $35,000 minimum to prove. And with my current circumstances, the case appears financially impossible. The seizures are daily now, triggered by stress and the humiliation of public destruction. My medication supply dwindles. No insurance, no income, no family willing to help the unstable daughter." I sit on the motel bed, watching the CVS pharmacy video approach 50,000 views on local Facebook pages. The comments are split. Poor girl versus Marcus is right, she seems dangerous. But what cuts deepest are the family members who've blocked my calls. The WhatsApp group has been renamed The Responsible Ones, and I can no longer see the holiday planning that proceeds without me. Linda attempts to access my neurological records at Hartford Hospital, creating a scene when HIPAA blocks her access. She tells the waiting room, "My daughter's mental condition is deteriorating rapidly. We're just trying to help." They want me erased? Perfect. Dead women tell no tales, but ghosts burn everything down. I tell the bathroom mirror, surprised by the steel in my voice. The reflection staring back isn't the woman who stood in that parking lot 6 weeks ago. This woman has been forged in fire, and she's starting to understand that sometimes the only way out is through total war. Hartford Hospital cafeteria buzzes with lunch hour energy. Medical students cluster around tables. Residents grab quick meals between rotations, and nurses steal moments of peace. The smell of industrial food and disinfectant creates an atmosphere where healing and hunger intersect. I time my arrival perfectly. Marcus sits with 3 other medical students, discussing cases with the casual authority of future doctors. The acoustics in here carry voices, and I need witnesses for what comes next. I approach their table with calculated calm, my voice projected just enough to capture attention without seeming unhinged. I wanted to publicly thank my brother for teaching medical ethics through live demonstration. The table goes quiet. Other diners turn to listen. Marcus's face shifts from confusion to alarm as he recognizes the trap. Marcus showed future doctors how to help confused elderly patients with anxiety medication to make them more cooperative for important legal decisions they'd never normally make. Carol Martinez, the nurse supervisor, approaches with professional concern. The medical students look horrified. Marcus realizes his reputation is hemorrhaging in real time as I continue. Some medical students study healing. Others study inheritance law with a prescription pad. I pull out my phone and start recording his reaction. "Can you explain to your colleagues why grandma needed lorazepam when she'd never had anxiety disorders until you started weekly visits?" The confrontation creates the exact professional damage I intended. Medical ethics violations are career killers, and Marcus knows it, but I've underestimated his capacity for strategic retaliation. Within 30 minutes, everything implodes. Security escorts me out in handcuffs as Marcus spins a narrative of violent, unstable stalking behavior. He shows edited video to hospital police, making me appear as an unhinged aggressor attacking innocent medical staff. The restraining order gets filed before I'm even released. Local news picks up the story. Disturbed woman attacks medical student. The edited video goes viral, showing only my aggressive behavior while positioning Marcus as the victim of an unstable relative. And justice for Marcus trends locally as the medical community rallies around their attacked colleague. The restraining order includes a 500-foot distance from all Hartford healthcare facilities. Legal harassment charges get filed. My will contest becomes virtually impossible. What judge would believe a woman who stalks medical professionals? This is exactly why loving families sometimes must make protective legal decisions. Marcus tells the cameras, his white coat gleaming under the hospital lights. The devastating irony hits like a physical blow. In trying to expose him publicly, I've provided him with perfect evidence of my instability. Every move I made to corner him has been turned into proof of his narrative. I walk directly into a trap so perfectly constructed that even my righteous anger becomes evidence against me. Sitting in the police station holding cell, waiting for bail I can't afford, I realized that Marcus didn't just study medicine. He studied me, my patterns, my triggers, my vulnerabilities, and he played them like a virtuoso. The praise escape attempt has only tightened the snare. The Walmart parking lot at 2 a.m. in February feels like the edge of the world. Snow covers my 15-year-old Subaru like a burial shroud, and the heater died somewhere around midnight. My phone battery is dead. The seizure medication is making me confused, and I'm seriously considering walking into traffic rather than dying slowly from hypothermia. That's when the tap comes on my driver's side window. Detective Maria Santos stands in the blizzard holding a blanket and a thermos, her breath visible in the freezing air. Retired Hartford PD, she'd been shopping for her sick grandchild's medicine at the 24-hour pharmacy when she noticed someone slumped in a snow-covered car. "Honey, you're hypothermic. Come inside my car." No questions, no judgment, just human warmth. She drives me to the all-night diner on Berlin Turnpike and orders coffee and soup without asking what I want. The fluorescent lights hurt my eyes, but the warmth seeps into bones that had forgotten what comfort felt like. "Found my mother like this 12 years ago," Santos says, stirring sugar into her coffee. "Family convinced her to sign over her house, then dumped her at a state facility. She died thinking I abandoned her." We cry together over warming food. Two women united by family betrayal. Only after establishing this human connection does Santos reveal her background. Investigated elder financial abuse for 28 years. Some fights are worth freezing for, and this one feels personal. Families who prey on their own aren't families anymore. They're organized crime with DNA. Santos takes me to her house, provides a guest room, and calls contacts in the prosecutor's office and medical ethics boards. Over kitchen table coffee at dawn, she maps out an investigation strategy using her retired cop network. "When everyone calls you crazy, check who profits from your silence," she says, opening a laptop. "Let's see what your brother's been hiding." The alliance forms naturally, not charity, but partnership. Santos understands systematic abuse, and I understand Marcus's psychology. Together, we start building a case that will either vindicate me completely or destroy us both. The snow outside begins to melt as sunrise creeps through the windows. For the first time in months, I fall asleep without seizures, without nightmares, without the crushing weight of fighting alone. Hope tastes like black coffee and sounds like someone finally believing your story. Santos's basement office looks like a detective show set. Evidence boards covering the walls, red string connecting photographs, and stacks of documents organized with military precision. The late evening light filters through small windows, casting shadows that make the whole room feel like a war bunker. Dr. Patricia Reynolds, the medical examiner Santos contacted, spreads Grandma's hospice records across the desk like tarot cards revealing a dark future. Her analysis cuts through the room like a scalpel. Lorazepam dosage prescribed would cause severe cognitive impairment lasting weeks in an elderly patient. This wasn't anxiety treatment. This was chemical incapacitation designed to compromise decision-making capacity. The words hit like physical blows. Jennifer Wu, the legal aid attorney Santos recruited, takes notes with the precision of someone who's seen this before, but nothing prepares us for what Santos unveils next. Through her police contacts, she's recovered Marcus's deleted text messages. The thread with his girlfriend reads like a confession. Medication working perfectly. She's compliant now. 2 more weeks and Yale debt disappears. Family finally understands she's the problem. He didn't steal her inheritance. He purchased it with your grandmother's medically induced confusion. The timeline Santos has constructed is devastating. Every confused decision Grandma made corresponds exactly with peak drug impairment periods. Marcus used his medical student clinic privileges to prescribe controlled substances to a family member without medical indication. Federal prescription fraud with automatic license revocation. Dr. Reynolds confirms what we suspected. Elderly patients on this dosage cannot make complex legal decisions. This is chemical restraint designed for financial gain. The smoking gun comes from hospital security footage Santos obtained through old contacts. Marcus personally collected the pills from the pharmacy, highly irregular for student clinic prescriptions. The video shows him leaving with medication clearly labeled for Evelyn Chen. This wasn't medical error. This was pharmaceutical assault designed for financial gain. Dr. Reynolds states, as we spread the evidence across Santos's desk, the full scope of Marcus's crime crystallizes. He didn't just manipulate a vulnerable elderly woman. He weaponized medicine itself, turning healing into theft. The boy who stepped over my convulsing body during Christmas Mass had grown into a man who would drug his own grandmother for tuition money. Marcus didn't break laws. He weaponized medicine to shatter the last person who believed in love. I say, staring at the evidence that will either vindicate me or destroy what's left of my family forever. The choice has already been made. Some truths are worth burning everything down to expose. Hartford Superior Court's gallery is packed like a theater on opening night. Local media occupies the front rows. Medical students cluster in the back taking notes for ethics classes, and community members fill every remaining seat. The morning light streams through tall windows, illuminating what will become either my vindication or my final destruction. Jennifer Wu approaches the bench with the methodical precision of a surgeon. Every piece of evidence gets presented systematically. Medical records, deleted text messages, expert testimony, security footage. Yale Medical School's dean sits in the gallery, taking notes for the disciplinary hearing that will follow regardless of the court's decision. Marcus attempts to maintain his golden boy composure, but when confronted with irrefutable evidence, his carefully constructed facade begins to crumble. His helping grandmother's anxiety defense collapses under Dr. Reynolds' expert testimony about chemical incapacitation. The deleted text messages prove premeditation. 2 more weeks and medical school debt disappears forever. Medical students in the gallery look physically ill as they realize their peer used their shared profession as a weapon. Mom breaks under the prosecutor's questioning, admitting she encouraged Marcus because Sarah's seizures make her unreliable with money. Dad maintains strategic silence, recognizing his potential criminal conspiracy exposure. The family that systematically erased me for 34 years disintegrates in real time under oath. Judge Margaret Wong's voice cuts through the courtroom like divine judgment. Using medical training to chemically incapacitate vulnerable elders represents the gravest possible betrayal of the healing profession. The comprehensive legal consequences unfold with surgical precision. Will invalidated under Connecticut Probate Code, undue influence statute. Original will restored. I inherit the house and $2. 1 million estate. Federal charges filed. Elder abuse, prescription fraud, conspiracy to commit theft, medical school permanent expulsion with lifetime license prohibition, civil damages awarded for emotional distress and defamation. Previous restraining order dismissed with sanctions against Marcus, outside the courthouse. Reporters swarm for statements. The Hartford Courant will run the story as front-page news. Medical students' prescription for theft. The case will become a cautionary tale in medical ethics curricula nationwide. He didn't steal money. He stole our grandmother's mind and sold it back to himself for tuition payments. I tell the cameras. Marcus leaves in handcuffs, his white coat replaced with orange jumpsuit. The golden boy who stepped over my seizures has become a cautionary tale about privilege corrupted. Justice tastes like winter air and sounds like camera shutters capturing the moment when truth finally wins. The family that threw me out like Tuesday's trash just learned that some garbage fights back. 10 months later, I stand in Grandma's renovated Victorian house, watching autumn light filter through windows she'll never see again. The house has been transformed with accessibility features, grab bars in doorways, medical alert systems, and a first-floor bedroom for when seizures make stairs impossible. Santos rents the converted carriage house, providing both security and friendship. Our alliance has evolved into chosen family, the kind that protects vulnerability instead of exploiting it. My independent accounting practice specializes in elder financial protection, serving attorneys, medical facilities, and adult protective services. The viral case publicity brought clients who understand the value of someone who's survived systematic abuse. Revenue exceeds my previous firm's salary, funded by people who want their elderly relatives protected from predators wearing white coats. Love should never require a prescription pad or a legal document. If it does, it isn't love. I tell the Elder Protection Conference at the University of Connecticut. The audience, social workers, attorneys, medical professionals, responds with standing ovation. Connecticut's Attorney General appointed me to the Elder Protection Task Force. I speak regularly at medical schools about recognizing abuse, and Hartford PD consults on financial exploitation cases. My victim advocacy certification hangs next to Grandma's photo in my home office. The family consequences have been swift and permanent. Marcus serves 30 months in federal prison, his medical career obliterated beyond repair. He works the prison kitchen now, which seems fitting for someone who once served drugged compliance to his own grandmother. Mom and Dad face federal conspiracy charges while enduring complete social ostracization. Extended family remains fractured. Some relatives apologize awkwardly at grocery stores. Others maintain Marcus was misunderstood. I maintain zero contact policy regardless of their position. Reconciliation texts get deleted unread. Holiday cards are returned unopened. The seizures are controlled now, managed through stress reduction and therapy rather than crisis survival. Grandma's house feels like sanctuary rather than prison.